marketing event. We started it back in 2022. And
So I'm here with Tom from LinkedIn, and we're at the B2Believe event.
B2Believe in London this week, yeah.
B2Believe, right, and we're right in right in the heart of Adland, aren't we?
That's right.
Right in the corner of Tottenham Court Road and Oxford Street, where all the ad agencies were. It's a fantastic new venue which is underground.
Yeah, absolutely.
And state of the art. I've never been in here before. Very exciting stuff. Tell us a bit about what we're learning about today, because LinkedIn's released a whole load of really exciting research, haven't you?
That's right, and so B2Believe's here in London this week. We've been touring the globe with this particular event, and today's really about the business of influence. And so, we're acknowledging that, the job of a B2B marketer, they've got to influence this increasing buying committee and try and get that sort of influence to multiple different people who need to make that decision. And what struck me earlier, I don't know whether you saw the stat, but 40% of deals in the B2B world are getting stuck because you cannot get that collective decision making and collective confidence in the professional world. And so a lot of the discussion today has been about research, as you mentioned, that shows how do you influence that B2B buying group. And so we've been talking a lot about influencers and a lot about the importance of moving away from things like perhaps ebooks and white papers into things like short form video, which is working fantastically well, and there's research to back that up. So, over 80% of the people in research actually build trust when there's a kind of human behind that engagement. They start to build a relationship with a brand, and that helps you get onto that shortlist for that decision that's critical for any B2B business. So some of the topics we've been looking at.
Because you've wrapped it up. You've had stuff about brand, you've had stuff about buyer group marketing. So some of the stuff on brand is great to have that reinforced around the importance of that and the power of that. The influencer stuff is fascinating because LinkedIn is obviously very well set to be an influencer platform. I mean, there is really no other game in town, right, in terms of B2B. But it does seem, I've been tracking influencer marketing for over 10 years, and the amount of false dawns I've seen in 10 years have been huge, but it really seems like it's actually starting to happen now. And I guess LinkedIn is in a perfect place to kind of leverage that and enable that, right?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at actually what's happening on LinkedIn, so I mentioned video earlier, which is a real way to engage. It's up 34% year on year in terms of video creation on LinkedIn. And to your point, we've seen a lot of increase in thought leadership. So CEOs, CMOs, thought leaders, influencers, starting to create content. And, it's all about what members find engaging on LinkedIn. We've got 1 billion members now, and they are finding that type of content increasingly valuable, and that's why we see it start to build. That creates the opportunity for marketers.
So we're going to see a lot more focus from LinkedIn on influencer and thought leadership in due course. This is going to be a theme of your messaging and your communications going forward, as well as helping to enable people to do it themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We build value for the members first, and then as we do that, we see opportunities to build things like thought leadership. And, for example, thought leadership ads is one of our most successful launches of a product where you can amplify that thought leadership to your target audience and measure the success of it. So just one example of the direction we're taking in thought leadership.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time, Tom.
You're welcome.
I'll stand on something.
Okay, so I'll edit this right down. So I'm here at the B2Believe a conference put on by LinkedIn in London. I'm here with Tom Stein of Stein IAS.
Hello, Joel. Always a pleasure.
Tom, always wonderful to see you as well.
It's great opportunity to be run into at a B2B event.
In London, who knew? Exactly. What a surprise that would be. So, Tom, we've been hearing a lot of stuff today, a lot of great themes coming up, a lot about brand, about buyer group engagement, buyer group marketing, and about influencer marketing. Anything stood out for you in terms of findings and conclusions?
Well, I think that the one of the standout things for me is I think that what Jan Schwartz, Mimi Turner, LinkedIn generally are doing in terms of their perspective about and their research into buyer group is quite interesting because it's different. So the way that we typically think about buyer group in B2B, so whether it's from an ABM standpoint or whatever standpoint, is about a group of interrelated decision makers that influence a particular purchase decision. Their definition of it is actually more expansive than that, where that is certainly the case still, but there's another group of buyers, the hidden buyers, that are not visible to us, and it's not just because they're anonymous, and not leaning in via intent data or anything like that, but they're not functionally that involved in the decision, other than they may be from procurement, or they may be from finance, or they may serve a blocking function, or a friction removal function.
Right.
So it's an interesting perspective, and I'm intrigued to know more about it.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think it's great for them to highlight these things. I mean, you know, I remember the notion of influencers. When I first heard of it was internally within the organisation as much as it was externally. So I quite like that probably we've come full circle on this one. And I feel like a lot of these themes today are really powerful and really compelling. As ever with B2B, is sometimes a bit of new light through old windows, and perhaps you're having to tell people who may not have had the grounding that you or I have a number of years, just a couple on your part, in this market.
One or two.
Need to know this stuff. So,
Yeah.
Is there any truth in that? Do you think, or am I being unduly harsh?
No, I think that I would say that this is the case in our world,
Yeah.
in the B2B world, but I also think it's increasingly the case in the B2C world.
Yeah.
And this will ramble a little bit, but there are very few certifications for B2B marketers, genuine certifications, and the way that we learn about things, so the way that we learn about the fundamentals, let alone the more sophisticated things that are out there. So whether it's from a measurement standpoint or a buyer group standpoint or whatever it may be, the training and the learning, and it all can be a little bit ad hoc. And I think that as our business and B2B gets more and more complex and sophisticated, that it becomes a bigger and bigger need for us. And I think there's I know that there are programs out there and places out there, but just in general, I think that there's an up-leveling.
So we need to level up. We need to professionalise. We need to get more skills. I mean,
I do believe that,
and anything that helps with that is definitely a good thing. So, yeah, Tom, I appreciate you allowing me to be a little bit controversial there. You can see that we've stepped out in the spirit of influencer marketing. Tom and I are stepping out in a live capacity.
We're influencing each
We're
other.
influencing each other. We're on the stairwell. You can see we're not in the
I
auditorium.
do have to say, that you talk about how B2B sometimes will look at something that's been in the world for quite a while and think about it as something that's new, and maybe it sort of is in a B2B context, but like influencers have always been part of the playbook, right? In B2B, they weren't per se called influencers, but they're very much part of the playbook. And so thought leadership programs and SMEs, subject matter experts, and so on. I think what's a little bit different now is actually some of the broader scale aspects of influencer. And we're using this, and we're not big on the term influencer per se, but we're using these techniques and approaches in a scalable way for the clients where it's appropriate, where it's right. And so I think that it's an interesting area to explore, measure the effect of, learn from, optimize. But I do think that it will become probably more significant than it has been.
I think you're right. I mean, I think Ophelia, who was speaking just now from Siemens, Ophelia Janus was saying, she was saying that actually, I'd like to find different terms, but I don't really like influence as a term. I totally agree with her.
I agree with her too. I thought that was spot on.
But so it's nice that someone who's definedly works in that world has identified that it's not optimal, which is good. I've just changed my job title to describe myself as an influencer, perhaps with some trepidation, but I think it was the best way to do it. So,
are you an influencer, or a creator, or a creator influencer, or a thought leader?
I hate creator and influencer equally. So I'd like to think thought leader, but I'm watch this space. I've got some thoughts on what thought leader should be. Oh my God, it's getting very meta now, isn't it? But Tom, thank you so much for finding time to talk to me.
Always a pleasure, Joe. Always a pleasure.
Good to see you. Cheers. Thank you.